Hey, what is going on guys? My name's Gamertag and I'm back for another Fortnite video. I know I've been gone for like 2 months now, and all of that will be explained at the end of the video after I go over these settings. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys settings that literally give you guys aimbot in Fortnite. Now obviously you can't have literal actual aimbot in the game, otherwise of course you would get banned and nobody wants that to happen. However, these settings that I'm going to share with you guys actually do replicate the same style, the same feeling of what it's like to have aimbot. I made a video like this a couple months ago and the feedback was unbelievably amazing. Everybody was commenting how much it has helped them, turned them into such a better player. I was even receiving text messages and like Snapchat messages from my friends saying how amazing those settings were. So I kind of wanted to remake that video to go over a couple of different topics, such as answering frequently asked questions, as well as basically to update and inform a lot of the new players for this season. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into these settings. Obviously, our aim is going to be affected by our sensitivity, so we want to go ahead and go into the controller options setting. Here we're able to, of course, basically change all of our sensitivity settings and other relevant settings. So we're actually going to work our way down basically from the top to bottom. We're going to start with the advanced look sensitivity settings. This is kind of the equivalent to X and Y sensitivity. Basically, when you're not aimed down sights with an item, this is what it'll affect. So for our look horizontal speed, we want to have this at a 61%, and our look vertical speed, we also want to have this at a 61%. Our turning horizontal boost as well as our turning vertical boost should both be set to an 18%, and our turning boost ramp time should be set to a 0.25 seconds. Making your way downwards is now going to be the ADS sensitivity, otherwise known as aim down sight. So of course, basically whenever you're aim down your sights to obviously take shots at an opponent, this is what the sensitivity settings will actually impact and improve even. Now these are actually going to be extremely different than what a lot of you guys have yours at, and I'll explain that here in a second as we go through. It'll make a lot more sense. So basically our ADS look horizontal as well as vertical speed should both be set to a 6%. And I know a lot of you guys probably have yours over like a 20 or 30%, so to lower this much seems quite concerning, but again, it'll all make sense here in a few minutes. Next is going to be the ADS turning horizontal and a vertical boost. Both of these should be set to a 10%. And then our ADS turning boost ramp time is also going to be set at a 0.10 seconds. So that's for the ADS settings. And basically if you're wondering why they're so low, well, it's because these settings actually revolve around the linear look input curve. So if you guys did not know, the look input curve, there's two of these different settings. There's either linear or exponential. Basically Fortnite was defaulted on exponential. This is what it's been like for literally over like 2 years now. However, Epic allowed us to actually have the opportunity to change it over to linear. Linear basically gives you way more of a raw stick input. So as most of you guys know, when you typically move your analog stick just slightly in the game will react slightly. You won't turn really fast, you'll just turn slowly to match the speed of how much you're moving your analog stick. And of course, if you move it all the way, then of course you'll turn faster. Well, linear actually kind of takes that control out. Basically, no matter how little or how much you move your analog stick, it's going to have the same input and reaction as if you were to move it all the way. Now, a lot of people hate the linear look input curve for that exact reason. In fact, I was certainly one of those people that literally hated it, was going to stay away from it for eternity until I tried out these settings. Basically, all the settings that I gave you guys actually has the exact same feeling as the exponential settings. And the reason this actually works is because of the turning boost that we put on. So to revisit the ADS sensitivity, you guys can remember we have our 6% for the look vertical and horizontal speed. Obviously this is extremely low, however with linear, it's actually not too uncommon to have this low of settings. So it certainly won't feel slow at all. And then also to take away the extreme raw input that linear has, a lot of people dislike, we raised our turning horizontal and vertical boost. Basically now we still have that same control such as exponential, where if you barely move your analog stick, the game will react as such. And then for the turning boost ramp time being at a 0.1 seconds, it actually emphasizes and almost like boldens that setting alone. A couple more settings that I find to be extremely relevant and honestly still very crucial, so make sure you do use these as well, is the look dampening time set to a 0.05 seconds. And again, this all falls into actually affecting linear to make it more comfortable for the average player. Of course, aim assist strength should be at 100%. I shouldn't even have to say that, but if it's lower than 100%, even by 1%, please raise it all the way up. Please, it will affect a lot. And then of course our controller dead zone is also extremely important. For the move stick dead zone, this one really doesn't matter whatsoever. You can keep it at 20% at the default. And then our look stick dead zone is one that's actually extremely important because this is what's used for essentially everything. The right analog stick is what's used to basically turn when building, it's used when aimed down sights, or even just hip firing. Literally everything is affected by this. So the one that I've always used and strongly recommend is around a 10%. Of course you can lower and raise it to your own personal preference, but personally for me 10% has done me justice, and I know a lot of people actually feel very comfortable at 10% as well. So for the most part, those are all the relevant sensitivity settings that will allow you guys to basically have aimbot in Fortnite. Of course, if you're not used to these settings, it will take some time for you guys to get used to them and become second nature. Personally, for me, it took about 2.5 hours of consistent and constant gameplay to the point that I was actually used to these settings. So obviously, again, if you change them and they don't feel too comfortable with you guys, please just give it a couple of days at least. And then at that point, if it's still uncomfortable, maybe you can tweak things to your own personal preference. But these exact settings alone are basically the perfect sequence for aimbot in Fortnite. And if you're wondering basically how this gives you aimbot, or actually at least parallels or replicates that feeling, is because obviously each player has their own set movement speed in the game. Everyone moves at the same speed, so basically these sensitivity settings alone match that speed perfectly. So if someone's in the distance and sprinting across your viewpoint, basically with these sensitivity settings alone, when you move your cursor or crosshair rather to line up with that player, it'll always stick on their body. They could be sprinting, it'll stick on their body. They could be moving slowly, it'll stick on their body. This is why we have at least a 90% accuracy rate by using these settings. Obviously, bloom does play a factor, and that's something we can't necessarily control. So of course, we're not going to have perfect accuracy. That's literally impossible without actual cheats. So that's basically the main part of today's video. I wanted to share with you guys these exact sensitivity settings that will allow you guys to literally have aimbot in Fortnite, or at least get as close as you possibly can. If you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll do my absolute best to reply to each and every single one. Now, to address why I've been gone for pretty much exactly 2 months at this point, for my active viewers that are wondering, well, honestly, it's pretty much a common popular opinion at this point. The game did get stale for a little while. I mean, there's only so many times you can win, there's only so many places you can land, so many different things you can do in the game before it does reach a point where it's not as fun or exciting to play. I feel like Epic was delaying the season so long, and they weren't even adding new things in the game. There was no communication whatsoever. There's just a huge barrier between Epic Games and the Fortnite players, and basically I didn't like that personally. Obviously, if I worked at Epic, my decisions would be so very different. So basically, my personal preference and Epic's decisions were not aligned, and the game just wasn't that fun for me. However, of course, with this new season coming in, I do like a lot of the things that they added, including the mechanics, the new POIs, and things like that. So for that reason, I have actually returned to make videos. I can't guarantee daily videos at this point. You could probably expect, 3 to 4 videos every single week, especially on Saturday and Sunday, and maybe 1 or 2 throughout the week itself. So basically, that's why I've been gone. The game just kind of didn't have that same feeling as it used to, but with this update, I think a lot of things have changed, and they've also brought back a lot of the old players and even brought forth new players to Fortnite, and I'm definitely pretty excited for that at least. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video or found it helpful, a like would be beyond appreciated. And of course, on the contrary, if you genuinely disliked today's video, then by all means feel free to leave a dislike as well. And of course, if you're new around here and would like to see more consistent Fortnite videos in the future, then feel free to subscribe as well as turning on those post notifications. Nonetheless, my name is Gamertag. Thank you all for watching today's video, and I'll be sure to see you tomorrow. Adios.